Sporting an 8 megapixel pure view camera, a slimmer design, and an aluminum edges, what else do you want? I'm Jan Scarcy, and this is my full review of the Nokia Lumia 925. Despite the delay of this device coming into Australia, this is still claimed as Nokia's flagship device. I know the Lumia 1020 came out already, but we'll have to put that aside and focus our attention to this beauty right here. The phone has a gorgeous design, hands down. It is sleek and slim compared to its predecessor, the 920. Even though the phone has slimmed down, it still has the same solid build you would find on the 920, except it feels a lot more premium. You have the Gorilla Glass at the front and the polycarbonate plastic on the back. Now, what's interesting about this design is how Nokia chooses to use the combination of metal and plastic to cover the device. But, with that said, I love how it feels and it's really comfortable. It's lightweight and it doesn't even feel too big in my hand. I think it really is a smart move on how Nokia has put all the buttons on the right hand side because it just really makes it super easy to access. And in terms of build quality, definitely this is one of the best phones to have the best builds in the market right now, alongside the HTC One. If you're an Android user, chances are you're going to want the top specs on your Android smartphone. Well, that's not the case with Windows phones. Now, although this is a flagship device, internal hardware is no way near as powerful as Android devices. Inside the Lumia 925 is a 1.5 GHz dual-core Snapdragon S4 processor, an Adreno 225 GPU, as well as 1 GB of RAM. Now the display is 4.5 inch with 720p resolution and a pixel density of 332 ppi. Now it's an AMOLED screen and uses the Pure Motion HD Plus clear black display. Now there's also a 2000 mAh battery on this. It's non-removable as well, which may sound small for you, but trust me, it's not. And also there's an option of 16 and 32 GB models. Now I happen to have the 16 GB model here, but apart from that, the phone doesn't have the best specs. But for a Windows device, you don't need high-end specs to run the OS. The 1280 by 720 resolution isn't actually that bad, and in fact, it's great. The contrast is great, and the photos will look vivid on the device. It's sharp and very crisp, thanks to its high pixel density at 332 ppi. If I were to describe the color tone from the display, then it's definitely on the warm side. Now, the amount of black on the display is deep, so that means it's not going to look sort of grayish thanks to the clear black display. Now, the viewing angle is superb as well, and the visibility outdoors was not as good comparing to an IPS displays or the LCD3 like on the Optimus G and HTC One. With that said, it is still one of the best displays that I've seen. Powering the Lumia 925 is a 2000 mAh of non-removable battery. It performed very well and it has a great standby that can easily last for a few days with no problem at all. On a medium consumption, it lasted just over 15 hours for me, but for heavy users like myself, it only lasted just close to 8 hours, which is not so bad. Now, I was at an event at that time with my 4G on for the whole time and constantly taking photos and using Facebook and Twitter. Overall, the battery is one of the best I've used, and considering that I was running on 4G, that's not so bad at all. I guess it wouldn't be a review without talking about the call quality. Now, the call sounded very rich and clear. It sounded like I was actually speaking next to the person who I was talking to on the phone. Despite the almost similar specifications to the Lumia 920, what really separates this away from the 920 is none other than the camera. That still uses the same pure view technology, but what's different about this, or I must say slightly different comparing to the 920, as you can see, the camera is slightly raised, and that is because of the extra lens that Nokia has put on top. And I haven't fully used the 920, so I cannot really compare the shots that I took with the 925 to 920. Now, based from my experience with the 925, the photos look great and there's a nice balance of saturation even with bright surroundings, and it picks up the correct ISO very well. Now, the macro capabilities on this phone is superb as well. Now, I was actually able to get some good macro shots without the photo being noisy. Now, the biggest feature that Nokia is mentioning about this phone would have to be the low light capabilities. And I certainly agree on that. Now thankfully they've had the low light setup at the launch, so I had the chance to record a few shots, and I guess the video speaks for itself. Now it was smooth as well and less shaky comparing to other high-end smartphones on the market, and that is because of the OIS technology, or optical image stabilizer. You do get different effects to choose from as well, but my favorite would have to be the motion focus. But before you can actually use it, you'll have to download the app called Nokia Smart Cam. But I really wish what they've done is they could have just, included all those effects to the actual camera. Then that would have been a lot better. But basically what it does is it blurs out the background of the subject, and at the same time you will still have a clear focus on the subject. So great job on that, Nokia. In regards to the performance, as I have mentioned, there's no need for a quad-core processor to run the OS very smoothly. Multitasking was great with no lag whatsoever, even when all the graphic-intensive games are running in the background. Now it was smooth and snappy. Okay, let's just say it's blazing fast in general. Now despite the great things I've said so far, the downside of the phone is when it comes to gaming performance. Now, while less graphic-intensive games will run perfectly fine on the Lumia 925, but when it comes to graphic-intensive games, that's where it's lacking, because that's when you're gonna need a higher GPU. Now, what I've noticed the most is the problems with the frame rates, and as I've said, that is because that's when you're gonna need a higher GPU like you'd find on the HTC One or the Galaxy S4, for example. But overall, if you don't really care as much about that, then this will not let you down. The games were still playable, but just not the best. I'm an Android user and I tend to get bored most of the time, and therefore I love to have some sort of customization on my phone. Now the Windows Phone 8 operating system really is lacking that same kind of customization on Android, although you can adjust the size and change the color of the live tiles, but other than that, that's about it. Don't get me wrong, but I love the fluidity and cleanliness of the OS, but because it really is a great OS, and I see where Microsoft is going with this, but in my opinion, it's just missing a few little things with that. Now, one of the downside of the OS, and again, this has nothing to do with Nokia, and that would be the lack of premium apps. Now, it's minimalistic, and although it's slightly improving, it really is taking them too long to push out some native Windows Phone 8 apps. On the plus side, I really appreciate the addition of the Nokia apps on the device. They look very well, and the UI, it's just amazing. It really works very well with the OS. What I love about Windows Phone 8 is definitely the synchronization, and I do believe that this is what the OS is all about. Or if not, it's one of its main highlights. I can easily create a document and save it to the cloud, or aka as SkyDrive for Microsoft, without a problem. In fact, I tested it at an event and I was actually pretty impressed about it. The Lumia 925 is also a great music device, and the addition of the Nokia Music app really take advantage of not just the phone in particular, but the entire Lumia series. Although it is slightly lacking out of bass, but apart from that, I really enjoyed listening to it. There's also a free download of the Man of Steel app as well, which contains wallpapers, trailers, and different things as well. The Lumia 925 may slightly have the similar specifications to the 920, but this is definitely an evolution. But despite the lack of exclusive Windows Phone 8 apps, I really enjoyed using the phone, and having an awesome pure view camera really makes the 925 an all-in-one device. Now it takes some amazing photos, and definitely one of the best cameras I've used on a smartphone. But the question is it the best camera that I've used? I don't think so, because there are some photos that I liked on other flagship devices as well. But if we're talking about low light performance, then definitely, this is the best low light camera phone that I've used. Now if you really want to enter the Windows Phone 8 ecosystem, then this is a great phone to start off with, because not only you'll get all the exclusive Nokia apps, but also you'll get a really great camera on the phone. Alright, so that's about it, folks. Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give this a like, and don't forget to subscribe, because not only you are showing some support to the channel, but it also helps me out to make some more awesome videos like this. As always, I'm Jens Garcia, and I'll see you all in the next one.